Hey, welcome in. Well, the smearing of the trucker convoy, the Freedom Convoy, continues unabated. Here's the headline. Chair of Trudeau-funded AntiHate network spreads anti-Semitism hoax to smear Canadian truckers. So let's find out what's happening with this. Okay. So here's a tweet. This is Bernie Farber, who runs the Canadian Anti-Hate network. And of course, he's completely objective, it appears. Let's see. Bernie Farber, taken by a friend in Ottawa at the occupation. He's calling it an occupation. That's very interesting. Apparently in plain sight. So he's saying in this that this was taken by a friend of his in Ottawa. Okay? And apparently it was in plain sight. And you can see this is some anti-Semitic propaganda. Boy, so that sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Well, just hold on one second. Well, because Canadian journalist Jonathan Kay had a question about this. I wasn't quite so sure about this. Let's see what he wrote on Twitter. Well, Bernie, isn't it incredible that the picture your friend in Ottawa at the occupation sent you is identical to the photo posted on Twitter 2 weeks ago by someone in Miami, right down to the ceramic design in the background? So let's take a look at the tweet that Jonathan Kay was talking about here from Because Miami. It says, breaking, the Miami Beach PD says anti-Semitic COVID conspiracy flyers were distributed overnight in residential neighborhoods. This tweet is from January 23rd. And boy, this picture looks familiar, doesn't it? Oh, let's take a look at them side by side. Let's see. So it's the exact same picture from 2 weeks before. So this, my friends, I think it's safe to call it a hoax. Now, what did he say? He said, taken by a friend in Ottawa at the occupation, apparently in plain sight. Now, maybe a friend sent it to him and tricked him. Maybe he's intentionally lying, intentionally trying to smear the truckers. Maybe there's some other explanation for it. I don't know. Maybe this has something to do with it. Let's see. This is from Canada.ca. Building a more inclusive Canada. Government of Canada announces funding. See where this is going? Funding for anti-racism projects across the country. So let's see, lots and lots and lots of funding. And I'm sure the vast majority of these people are doing great work. But here we get to the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. This guy is the leader of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. And as you can see, the federal government funded them to the tune of $268,000. So that's a lot of anti-hate, isn't it? In fact, it's so much anti-hate, you might want to make sure that you keep finding hate so you can get more of that, right? Because I think that Trudeau would be very happy to see tweets like this from Bernie Farber, especially after having invested $268,000 worth of taxpayer money into his organization. So it was a hoax. But it says here, despite the flyer being a hoax, Farber's tweet was retweeted by numerous politicians and journalists. Of course. Angie Seth of CTV said, this is both disgusting and horrifying. The NDP MP, now, if you don't know what the NDP is, it's a political party in Canada. It's basically the Canadian Communist Party at this point. But anyway, Charlie Angus, who's an MP for the NDP, he said, quote, the Ottawa occupation gang came to Ottawa with swastikas scrawled on Canadian flags. This shit isn't hidden, it's right there in the open. Or maybe it's all just lies, right? Maybe it's all just lies and hoaxes. So anyway, what did Farber say in response to Kay calling him out for what looks very much like a hoax? Quote, John, respectfully, anti-Semitic and racist flyers are produced and too easily accessible online to be copied and distributed. This particular flyer is not new to me either. And then Jonathan Kay replied, you told us the image was from the Ottawa occupation. The photo you tweeted was taken in Miami 2 weeks ago. And then the reply from Farber was, yes, in fact, that photo has been reproduced numerous times, I'm told, over the last few weeks. Well, these don't seem like satisfactory answers, do they? So anyway, Jonathan Kay kept pushing, quote, but that's not what you said. You posted the photo and said it was from the Ottawa occupation. Instead, it was a photo that somebody took in Miami. And then you got it and told everyone it was taken in Ottawa. To which he replied, quote, the pic sent to me was of a copy of this flyer allegedly seen in Ottawa where the picture I posted was taken. And yes, it is being seen elsewhere as well. Apologies for my unclear language. So again, this is not satisfactory. Honestly, I think if you're accepting large sums of money from the federal government, this should be a big problem. I mean, maybe you should stop getting money from the government. Just an idea. Now, I've seen this guy from the Canadian Anti-Hate Network on CBC. The CBC loves him, of course. And he is absolutely as deranged as you would expect. And it always amazes me how these anti-hate people sure seem to have a lot of hate. But I saw this guy on CBC, and he was basically just saying that it was a giant Nazi rally, which was just being eaten up by the host, of course, because that's what they want. That's what they want people to think. And this organization, they don't just get money from the federal government either. I know there's at least one bank that's giving them money. I think this probably pays pretty well. Yeah, and when you're in the fighting hate business, you better make sure there's some hate to fight, right? Even if you have to be positively hateful to do it. Now, there was another photo that's being shared by leftists online. It's of this guy, and he appears to be an anti-Semite. Although you just never know if it's an agent provocateur these days. And the incentive is high to do this because you know that the media wants to associate the entire movement with anything negative that they can find. So you know something like this is going to have an impact with the media. But what happened with this guy exactly? Well, Brian Lilly is tweeting, I ran into him just before 6 p.m. with protest supporters and opponents. Both sides told him he was wrong and should leave. The exchange was fascinating. Then someone stole his sign and destroyed it. So whether this guy was legitimately what he was promoting himself as or not, both sides told him to get lost, and they ripped up his sign, which is something that the CBC is not going to tell you. And it's something that an organization like the Canadian Anti-Hate Network is probably not going to tell you either. And these smears will continue on and on and on. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about that. Please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. If you just like to listen, there's the podcast, Radio Baloney. It's on pretty much every platform. If you look for it, you will find it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.